Hey, this one's pretty good.
I know. I dig it too.
Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. Let's look at Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. We will do a 7-star level 120 review of Fohlen. And this might be surprising based on who I showed available in the previous video. But Fohlen kind of interested me, like his kit. And then hopefully this video will be a little shorter than my previous ones, just because I feel like there's less to say about him. But yeah, he was one of the very first 5 stars that I ever got. Right when I was starting was when his banner came out. I didn't actually pull on his banner, but as you can see, I have pulled many of him. I used him a little bit in the beginning. He has 30% innate evade. So as I was gathering together evade equipment, he was my first character that I could get up to 100%. And then he also has a provoke attack, the aggravate. And yeah, he was useful for that. You know, provoke the attacks, avoid them all. So that doesn't change as a 7-star. You can still give him lots of evade equipment, and then he will, you know, hit 100. You can provoke, and then yeah, draw those physical attacks. He has no mitigation with his aggravate, so he kind of does have to be an evade tank. Although you can get him up to 100%, it's not necessary for Fohlen in particular to get up to 100%. Because he has so many other sub-abilities that give him images. That's when there's like a translucent version of him standing behind him. So if he gets hit by a physical attack, one of the images will be taken away, and yeah, just that attack will be negated until there are no more images, and then the attack will go into Fohlen himself. And so yeah, I've heard of people successfully using him at evade 80%. Or 70%, because he has so many images that it takes a while for the enemy to get through all of those, and then start to get to the 80% evade Fohlen. I am not personally a fan of this, because it just takes bad luck one turn to take down Fohlen, and then the rest of your team is exposed. But it is something to consider. As that evade tank, he does have some support abilities as a 7-star. For example, he has Chocobo Wind. I think this is available turn 1, but you can do a 30% damage mitigation for everybody, raise wind resistance for your guys, and then imperil wind resistance for all enemies. So if you have a wind-specific quest, you can certainly use him in there as your provoke tank. Outside of that, however, I would not use him. I think there are better evade provoke tanks. Noctis is a really good one. Because he also has an innate provoke skill, and then he has so many other things that he can do, that if you wanted to go the evade provoke tank route, I would say go for Noctis instead. Zargabath is another good one. He has a 40% innate evade, and then you can give him, less equipment, and then he can also do a bunch of stuff on the side. So if you have either Noctis or Zargabath, I would recommend them over Fohlen as the evade provoke tank. So that leaves just one use for Fohlen, I would say. He does have a chaining move, and that is, what is that, Sonic Blast? But it's not very strong, and it doesn't chain with anybody except for a duplicate of himself, I believe. So I would not recommend this. So that leaves his final use, which is as a jumper. And if you know me, you know that I like jumpers. And then for his 7-star, I was really hoping he would get a timed jump. He did get that, but it's a little more complicated than just that. The thing about Fohlen is that his timed jump is locked behind another skill. So you don't have access to it until you use Chocobo Boost. This is available every turn. This is not a cooldown skill, but raises his attack, fills the limit break gauge, which we don't care about, and then changes Chocobo Dive to Chocobo Boost Dive. And then Chocobo Boost Dive is the timed jump. So first turn you will use Chocobo Boost, second turn you will use the Chocobo Boost Dive, and then third turn you'll have that little like sideways icon on your character. You hit that, and then Fohlen comes down from his jump to do the damage. If this were the end of the story, I would never use Fohlen, because, you know, 3 turns to get out 1 jump is not worth it, in my opinion. Timed jumps are really fun because they're very easy to finish chains with, because they're almost instant when you hit that button. But I have Roberta, and then she can do her timed jump every 2 turns. So why would I use, you know, Fohlen, who does that timed jump every 3 turns, if I could just use Roberta, who does it every 2 turns, and then, you know, do more damage more quickly to the boss. But there's one interesting thing about the Chocobo boost dive. The thing is that on the 2nd turn, when you send Fohlen up into the air, he does damage on that turn as well. It's not as high as the timed jump that comes down the next turn, but it's still something. And furthermore, that attack is AoE. It hits everybody on screen. So if you had a chain, an AoE chain, that you were doing that turn, you could finish that with the jump up, hit everybody, and then get that finishing damage on everybody on screen. And then the next turn, do another chain, and then do big damage on just 1 character. So you're actually doing damage 2 out of 3 turns. And so if you compare Fohlen to Roberta over the course of 6 turns, Roberta would be doing damage on 3 of those 6 turns, while Fohlen would be doing damage 4 of those 6 turns. So that's an interesting way to think about it. It does give Fohlen some niche usability that Roberta does not have. One other niche that Fohlen has, compared to Roberta, is that he has 3 slayers. Let's see where they are. Here we are. Beasts, avians, and aquatic monsters. Roberta has human and dragon, so there's no overlap there. And then looking at future dragoons, I think Sid, he will pick up Beast Slayer, but avian and aquatic, I believe Fohlen is going to be the only one with that in the future. So he will always own that niche. So you can certainly use him for avians or aquatics. Okay, next, let's talk about how to equip him. And then probably the best way to get damage out of him is to use him as a true double hand character. So let's equip him with that. So we'll give him a Stoss Spear. That's really nice because it's 2-handed. And then has high jump, which gives him another 100% jump damage. We will give him his Trustmaster, which is Rider's Helm. And then let's look at his Trust ability again. So more attack, more defense, and then more Slayers, so that's nice. And then I am lucky enough to have his Super Trustmaster, which is a Rider's Armor. This basically just gives you a lot of attack. And I think this is actually a very underrated Super Trustmaster. Everybody goes crazy for Luna's Clothes, which gives you 45 flat attack. But this gives you 40. So yeah, I don't see a big difference in that. Rider's Armor is really good. And then this is my favorite armor to use when I'm using fixed dice, just because it does like that flat attack. And then for accessories, let's use a Martial Glove, get some of that true double hand in there. And then here I debate whether to use another Martial Glove, or to use the Dragoon's Gauntlet, I think it is. Where is that? Yeah, Dragoon's Gauntlet. This also gives you 100% jump multiplier. So, yeah, that might be better than the bonus that you get from Martial Glove. But let's keep going with the true double hand stuff. We'll give him Tomb Raider for another 50%. We'll give him Buster Style for another 100. So with this, he has 200%. That's the highest that I can get if I'm using the Dragoon's Gauntlet. If I put Nalu's Trustmaster on him, I could get him up to 250. But yeah, it's gonna take Arenea's Super Trustmaster before I can get Fohlen to 300, I think. And then we can do the, let's see, Dragoon's Pride. That will be 60% attack with that. And then here, Sworn 6 Wind would be good. 50% more attack with the Spear, and then 25% jump multiplier. Which is not very high, but better than nothing. But we'll just do attack 40, so... yeah, 1500 damage with, or attack with Fohlen. That's pretty good for a true double hand, I guess. We could also do dual wield if we wanted to use a elemental spear. And then let's look at what elemental spears we got. Although I guess you could also do the double hand with a one-handed spear. And then there are lots of one-handed spears that are pretty good. Dragon's Whisker, this is gives you Dragon Killer, and then also some jump damage, I believe. Artisan is an Earth Spear. This is nice because you can finish Quake chains with this and ride on that elemental advantage. Ventus, this is Wind. This is also nice because Fohlen can imperil wind and then also ride on tornado chains. There's one other magic chaining ability or spell, which is Flood, but I don't think there are any good water spears, so we'll just ignore that. And then here is the Ice Spear, Northern Lights. And that might be it. Here is a Cursed Yati, in case you had some kind of a dark chain going on. This one has Aquan Slayer. You could maybe use this on Leviathan, unless Leviathan has ice resistance, so I don't know about that. And then here is Explosive Spear. I think this is the best one-handed lightning spear in the game right now. And then Holy Lance, the light element. So yeah, you could use any of these as a double hand spear, or you could use it as a dual wield, and then give him like Aloha Laswell's Trustmaster, Bowie Knife, stuff like that. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say about Fohlen, how to use him, how to equip him. In short, you want to use him as a jumper and nothing else. And then you can go either true double hand or maybe dual wield with him as good options to equip him. Okay, next, let's bring Fohlen to a quest, and then we're going to bring him to a Leviathan. This is going to be the 2-star version of him, because I did try Fohlen in the 3-star version, but I just couldn't do enough damage fast enough. That 3-turn wait is kind of not very good. But here's the 2-star. We can get a sense of how much damage he does against Aquans. And then the build for Fohlen, he is dual wielding the Explosive Spear with that lightning element, and then a Bowie Knife. And then Mercenary Ramza and Seaside Nicole, they have the pod 153, so they can create that chain. And then the pod, when it does do the chaining attack, it is a AoE attack. So we could finish that AoE with Fohlen's Chocobo boost dive when he goes up. So that's a good combo, I would say. Ramza and Nicole, they also have lightning element weapons, so that Fohlen can ride on that elemental chain. Ayaka is pretty self-explanatory. 9S, I am using him because he can do an attack and defense break in one action, which are the 2 most important breaks that I need for this team in this fight. Alright, so here let's chain with the Chocobo boost dive going up. Very nice, about half the boss's life. Ramza is nice in this quest because he has some innate stop resistance, and then of course the physical coverall. And then Seaside Nicole, he has the ice and water resistance up 70% for your whole party, so that's why I chose them. And yeah, 2-star Leviathan, when he first came out, he really beat me up. I wish I had this team way back then. Alright, so it's the 3rd turn, we have the time jump ready. So we'll do the chain again with Ramza and Nicole, and then finish that with Fohlen. Perfect. Alright, so that is Fohlen against an Aquan boss. Next, let's look at Fohlen against a Avian boss. Okay, so we'll go to Phoenix, and then this will be the 3-star version, so this is a little bit more current. Okay, and then here, Phoenix is weak against wind, so I brought a couple tornado chainers. and then I gave Fohlen the Ventus Spear. And then same thing here, we're just going to do the Chocobo boost with Fohlen first turn. Second turn we will jump up, third turn we will come down. And Noctis is here as my Breaker and Provoke tank. I think he's 100% evade. And then Ramza is my Magic tank. Alright, so let's get that Tornado chain ready. And then Tornado is also AoE, so we can finish on a screen full of guys using the Chocobo boost dive going up. Okay, let's break the boss's defense with a point-blank strike. Okay, start the Tornado and jump up. Alright, 43% life, that's pretty good. And yeah, again, the jump that's coming down is going to do more damage, so I think we're almost guaranteed to take down Phoenix on the third turn. Okay, we'll reload those tornadoes, cast those, and then finish the chain. Excellent. Okay, so that was Fohlen 7-star. I think he's a fun character, even though he is super duper niche. Again, I would only use him for jumping. But yeah, especially for people that don't have a 7-star Roberta, Fohlen might be interesting. The time jumps are very easy to use and they're very powerful. And especially if you have 2 pods, that could be really interesting to try out. Okay, that'll do it for this video, and we'll see you again later. Take care.